All right, welcome back. We have another breakdown. Gary Tonon and Gilbert Burns. I haven't watched this match, but I do know both these guys as far as watching matches from the past. I really enjoy watching Gary Tonon because he always does something I haven't seen before, something weird. So, which is good. Yeah, we'll get started. And if you haven't yet, click the link in the description where you can get access to all these strength and conditioning programs for the sweet science of fighting underground, and you can also submit your footage to be broken down. So let's get started here. It's probably going to move pretty quick, and I'm just going to try to keep up. Okay, so Gary kind of, right under there's a duck under for the double. But now we get to the body lock. Gilbert gets to the body lock, and Gary just kind of didn't really defend that. Kind of lets it happen because I think he's looking for maybe a hip toss and Uchimata. But Gilbert does a sprawl there and kind of goes in circles and swings around. So now the Uchimata leg is lost because now this leg is heavy. Gary's right leg is heavy. He needs that leg to be between the legs so that I can get the sprawl. But now Gilbert's legs or hips are knees are on the mat and his hips are low, so he can't really achieve the full Uchimata now. So spun him down to the ground, spun Gary down to the ground into a pass. So that was great. That was a good takedown, good finish. And Gary, Gary's very comfortable in doing escapes. Sorry, no escapes, but he's very comfortable in technically bad positions, what we consider very uncomfortable positions. And he's kind of an escape artist. So we'll see how he deals with this. So right off the bat, Gary just keeps good frames, keeps his elbows to his body, and got his guard back pretty easily there. Gilbert spins back and front, and now he's back to the guard. So that was pretty basic. Pretty simple. Pass the guard again with the body lock. So now we have a body lock. And I don't see, Gary is not really defending the passes too much. This is actually a pretty good strategy because you save a lot of energy doing this, instead of just fighting to reset your guard with somebody who just really wants to pressure pass. You may save a bit of energy here, especially if you're very, very confident that you can get out and get back to your guard. So Gary's really good. He's keeping his frames here, addressing the bicep, denying a crossface. This allows him to have space to actually work. So see how he has Gary's top arm is framing out and grabbing the wrist and framing out so that he can get on his side, and now his right knee is coming back in. This is the golden rule kind of in this particular position. I always tell people, especially beginners at my school, is like just never, ever, ever allow a crossface. If somebody passes, just deny them the crossface. Get your arm, C grip in the crook of their arm, or you can do what Gary's doing here, which is getting to the wrist and framing completely out to his side so that he can do an actual shrimp that actually can get his guard back. If you deny the crossface, you allow yourself space, and obviously this allows you to move within that space. So again, a guard reset here. And this can be very difficult for the person on top because, Gilbert just got two passes, pretty easily, and then Gary just kind of reset it pretty easily. So this has got to be a little frustrating. Not frustrating, I'd say, but just kind of, it's like, well, dang, I can pass and he's going to get his guard back. So, but that's okay. Both these guys move. So they're going to be going in and out of positions pretty quickly. So Gary goes to a bit of a holding onto the head. They both do the shoulder roll. Gary's back into the back and bottom side control, and he's keeping the frame here, keeping his arms framed in, and he's not going to allow the crossface to happen. You still got a body lock on this side with the right arm, with Gilbert's right arm, and we'll see. And right there, you see how Gilbert tries to get his left arm to go close to the head, and again, Gary focuses both his hands on this arm here. If he can deny the crossface, this will allow him space. You can see that right here. See how he can just easily bridge and get back to vision. If he were to allow some sort of chest connection, or to allow some kind of crossface, or to allow some sort of meat hook or something, then he would have to really fight out of this position and try to produce a real escape. But just a simple frame, right? This is a very simple strategy. And it saves a ton of energy. Gary's not really using much energy here. And neither is Gilbert. Gilbert's, he's... Okay, look, so we got Watch the arm over the head here. Looking, and the left arm is under the leg, more of like into a cradle position for Gilbert. Switches to maybe a body lock, presses away because Gary was popping up on top and Gary's head was above his head. So this was not a good position. They're going back to center. A bit of hand fighting, a little bit of slappy. And you see Gary kind of keeping that arm, his left arm kind of dangling right here, controlling this inside position. Just in case there's a shot, he can possibly get an underhook on the arm here. Maybe a strategy, maybe not. But that arm, keeping that arm low like that, it can deny, shots like singles and doubles and things like this. Because if Gilbert were to actually shoot in his hand and Gary's arm was here, he could just underhook and then they can bring him back up, chest to chest. Gary really loose here. A little foot sweep by Gilbert. That was nice. Foot sweep was just to get kind of distraction, maybe get a little destabilization. Because there was no upper body connection. Gilbert didn't have, connection with the neck or the arms or anything. A little distraction, touching the head. Gary so try to do a shoot in there with the leg there and try to scoop the leg and then switch to a single. Kochigari, I believe it's called. All right, so it's a little hand fighting. Looking for some judo there. We're trying to see a little more judo here and there because they're both staying very upright. You start to see guys standing very kind of upright like this. That's typically a clear indication that they're switching to, uchimatas and, foot sweeps. This is wrestling. They're going to be a little more crouched. Not all the time, but. Now that's a wrestling stances. The wrestling stance. There is a shot, and he swings into the leg. That was pretty nice. Gary does this thing I've seen before where he'll shoot, especially in MMA. I've seen him do this in MMA where he goes for a single but then swings into a leg lock. Ryan Hall does this as well. So that was just a grab of the single to a double. Gary gets back up. It's another foot sweep. That was nice. Had the leg up. Gilbert had the leg up, and then he kicked the other leg out. So, and then Gary just popped back up. A lot of movement here. A lot of energy spent there. Really notice, Gary really relaxed here. Just watching the cross face.
Pressure.
Oops. There we go. So standing back up. Gary may try to stand back up here, but, Gilbert has a single. Switches to the body lock. Gary goes to the overhook here, but Gary has a good setup here because the leg is here. He can get in. He's really good, really set up for Uchimata position. Let's see if he can pull it off. There's the Uchimata. And, I think Gilbert was ready for that. That was really, really, really slick. As soon as Gary goes for the Uchimata, he's just able to kind of cartwheel with it, and so that the Uchimata didn't have the hips weren't able to get really connected, because Gilbert was going with the actual throw, and in the process achieved a body lock. And Gary's got his guard back. So it's double unders. He's going to try to stack Gary here. Stack him, turn the corner. Gary's just watching the cross face. Keeping his hands to the inside. Look, see, there's the frame again. You can see it right here. So there's the frame. This is allowing Gary to have space. There's a bit of a half guard here. More of a lockdown, starting to get a lockdown on the leg. Now Gary's really trying to fight the far arm here, trying to get a hold of the far arm. Like a 2-on-1. And, Gilbert just sprawls out of that lockdown into trying to get to a body lock. Gary grabbed the head there to look for a bit of a guillotine entry. But Gilbert was able to posture out. They're going to reset to the center with Gary having butterfly hooks. There we go. Leaning forward is very good. Shooting in. So Gary shot his hips in there to try to get his hips underneath to get Gilbert overcommitted here to get underneath his legs here, possibly get into a leg lock entry or a sweep. And then Gilbert sprawls back here, get his hips back down, anchored back down to the ground. And Gary's got his, keeps his hooks established here. Overhook on the far arm here. Body lock. So we'll see what plays out. Okay, so now Gilbert may start framing away, which he does. He frames into the armpits, try to get space. There's a full guard. Fighting to stand up. So that was good. Gary got to the full guard and then got a hold of the head to control the posture, sprawled his kicked his legs back, and was able to stand back up. And then Gilbert just shoots in hard for a double. Gets it. To the guard. And then Gary gets back up from his guard with the whizzer. So he has the overhook here. And we're going to see if we see another hip toss. Nope. Shoot into a triangle. So that was beautiful. It's worth watching again. Kind of tricked us there. We thought he was going to stand back up and go into another toss. And I think he tricked Gilbert there a little bit. As soon as he got up into that position, he puts his weight, the weight of this leg goes to the back, and that carries and makes this leg light to where he can shoot it and swing that leg around in the triangle position. And then, of course, Gilbert just shrugs it off and goes into the pass. That was perfect. That was basically just really good timing on Gilbert's part. As soon as that leg started to swing around to the triangle, he shrugs his shoulder and shucks it off and to turn the corner to go into a pass. If he would have been a second late on that, he would have been in a soft lock, at a minimum a soft lock, if not a full triangle from that position. But that was really good, Gilbert's point. And Gary does it again. Well, that was a good back step by Gilbert. Trying to get to the back. A little bit of a lockdown position. Gilbert kicks his leg out again. For an overhook on the far arm here. Gary's getting back up to his feet. Gary shoots in for the leg. Looks like Gilbert just pushed him over. He missed the shot. It wasn't a really pushover. It looked like Gary was trying to get a shoot in for the leg there to spin, to have like a bit of an Eminari spin to actually entangle the leg. That's why he kind of spun off. I don't think it was so much of Gilbert throwing him off. I think it was more of his spin trying to get into the leg lock. Or maybe the combination of the two. Go into a scissor entry. Gary appears to be trying to shoot into a scissor entry, which would effectively put him into honey hole. And see, this is huge. This is a good example. I was going to go on a little bit of a rant here for a second. This is a good example of having such confidence in your defense that you're willing to try these wild, you could consider wild, I guess, but these moves that you kind of go into knowing that if they don't work, you're going to be compromised. In other words, your guard's going to get passed, or you're going to be in side control, or you're going to get mounted, or something bad. You won't be in such an advantageous position. But because Gary is so confident at his escapes, he can jump into these kind of wild positions from very unorthodox places, right? So, which makes it him a bit unpredictable, which is good, which is very good at high level. At high level, you don't want to be predictable. Predictability is not good, just because everybody kind of knows all the patterns. They know just probably as much as the other guy. It's pretty as far as like your understanding is about the same. And then a lot of it just comes down to a bit of timing and level of comfortability with the escapes here. So this is at least one part of it. So hand fighting. Was looking for a Russian tie there. Gilbert was looking for a Russian tie. And Gary's just kind of throwing his arm out there, I think trying to bait Gary into grabbing, Gilbert into grabbing his arm. There's the shoot in for the shot, shooting in for a single, and then trying to get into a leg entanglement. There's a leg entanglement, so he was able to wrap the leg, get their legs around. He's technically in a double outside ashi, but falling to the inside, which is actually a better position, and with an ankle lock grip on the leg, which is allowing him good connection. So now if Gilbert tries to run away, he'll have a good connection on the leg. We'll see if he switches to a heel hook. There's a heel hook switch. So now the grip switched to a heel hook, and before as the grip was switching, Gilbert decided to do a back step and spin through. And he outspun the heel hook, and then now he's out. So this is kind of the trade-off. I always tell guys, you do the ankle lock. The ankle lock has a very good connection. You can't just like spin and then pull away. You can't just do the running man escape. It's a very, very good form of connection no matter how your legs are entangled around the other person's leg. The heel hook position, even though it's a more dominant submission, I'd say it's quicker and it's very extremely effective, obviously. But you lose a bit of that connection, obviously. And the connection now is with your legs. You have to use your legs really to connect to the person because the hands are actually doing a rotation movement, which is breaking the leg. So, to do that, you're losing connection. So, just kind of the bit of a trade-off between the ankle lock and the heel hook. Goes into a double, takes him back down, takes Gary back down. The tie up with the head. Gary stands back up. And looking to bait the leg. He always stands up with that right leg in between the legs, if you notice. Baiting the guy to grab the leg because he can whizzer and go into an uchimata. Or a scissor entry. He can go to a scissor leg entry as well. Trying to do a snap down there. A lot of movement, so it can be, tiring. Both these guys are really good. Again, Gary giving that angle. As soon as Gary gives the angle, he gives the leg here. He's looking for that whizzer, possibly looking for a leg entry, triangle, or uchimata. Or some of the options. And now he just completely gave him his back. Now he's reaching for the far leg and trying to possibly get into a leg entry. There's the leg entry. So that was actually really slick. I guess a full knee bar here. Ooh, he lost the leg. That was good. Let's just watch that sequence again because I think that's worth watching again. Right there. So this was really interesting to take a look at. It's what I was talking about earlier. Gary actually gave his back here. So we go to the whizzer here, and then Gary lets go of the whizzer so that Gilbert will go to the body lock. As soon as he goes to the body lock, he takes both his arms and grabs the far leg here and sits to a leg entanglement. Watch. Gives the hand back. There goes the leg. Gets his legs entangled. Goes for a knee bar. But the problem with the knee bar here is he has the heel hook grip. And that's fine. This is actually a really good a way to submit. But again, you actually lose a bit of connection with the leg here, right? Because you're holding on with your wrist, basically. And and then you lose control of the leg. Again, there was nothing wrong with that. I would say that's just the condition of that's what happens. When you're actually going for that submission, you either get the submission or they're able to just kind of kick out. So it looks like possible underhook here. Yep, it's going into an underhook. There's a reverse X. You can see Gary already setting up. The leg is on the inside. The bottom leg starts to go to the outside. And so this can be to a reverse X position. And if Gilbert's not careful, if he presses forward too fast, he's going to get put into a honey hole position. Or Gary can, with his underhook, can actually pull him and commit him over to this side, and that will give him access to his legs. There's the leg. Missed the honey hole entry because Gilbert stepped over to go to mount, but now we have an Ashigurami position. There's a single X. So Gary throws the leg over to the single X, and now he's reaping the leg over top. And Gilbert turns and rips to run out of the position. Gary has the leg again into an outside heel hook, and he's losing a bit of the knee line here. Again, he's losing the knee line because of the heel hook grip, right? Again, not wrong. It's just a consequence of the position itself. Once you go for the submission, you lose a bit of control. So there's the knee line. The knee line is free. You can see Gilbert's knee line is starting to get shallow. So that's right there next to Gary's knee. So now his knee's free. So he should be free from the heel hook. Gary can possibly produce short heel hooks. This is where a short heel hook is basically where you don't have the knee line. You can actually pull something off there. You have to switch your grip a little bit with a reverse butterfly grip, or you have to use a rear naked choke grip. It's possible, but it'd be very difficult with somebody at this skill level. So he has honey hole position, but he has like a calf slicer position. We call this funny hole because you don't actually have the honey hole. You just have your shin behind the knee. They've actually freed their knee line, but that doesn't mean it's over because that's a form of connection. It could be a possible form of a submission with a slicer, and you can also suck back into the honey hole, but it's definitely a form of connection. And then Gilbert knows that, so he just kicks his leg back out. Gary drives forward, and now Gilbert has a leg entanglement of his own to a single leg X. He's switching it to a toe hold, throwing him over, but he doesn't have his leg entangled yet. Now he has his legs entangled, but Gary straightens his leg, stands back up, gets to the top position, and now they go off the mat. They're going to have to recenter. So that was a good sequence. So some more hand fighting here. Throw by, go into a leg lock. So Gary tried to shoot into a scissor takedown, which scissor takedown into a leg lock. It failed because Gilbert sprawled. But look at that frame again. He frames out, and that was really slick by Gilbert. He spun through to try to get to the back, and it looks like he's going to get the back. Gary is really focusing on the legs here to not allow the legs to get wrapped around his hips. If Gary can deny the legs from getting wrapped around the hip, Gary can actually go flat and start to escape its back connection. So Gilbert really needs to get the hooks here, but a really good entry, a really good sequence there by Gilbert to get to the back. So good news is that Gilbert does have the bottom hook here. He would like to have the top hook, but he could go to like a more of a twister back control if he were to figure for his legs here and have a possible connection that way. But Gary's doing a good job with his outside arm, really trying to monitor the top leg. The shoulder, he's going to try to get this shoulder to the ground. Shoulders to the ground, so now he's effectively out. Gilbert can actually get up and get to a body lock side control, but as we've seen before, Gary doesn't seem to have too big of an issue trying to getting out of this position. There's a frame on the shoulder. This is an excellent position to play with when you're actually dealing with body locks, is to get up on this hand or get up on the elbow. Getting him on the hands is better. The higher you get, the better. And creating a frame. And then you can sprawl out, get your legs back underneath you. You'll also be going to a tripod. And again, he switches to this overhook. And again, overhook with the whizzer. And then he shoots his leg. He side kicks his leg in between the person's legs. Again, this sets up all kinds of things, right? So we've already seen him do several things here. If Gilbert is not careful and he presses forward and stands up, Gary can do an Uchimata here and start to do a little bit of a hip toss. He can, if he stands straight up, Gilbert stands straight up, he can actually shoot in to go to a scissor takedown and go to a leg lock, and then spin through, as I was just about to say, spin through to a leg lock into honey hole. So this is effectively the same thing as a scissor takedown. They just didn't stand up to do it. He's just grabbing the leg and trying to roll through. And he rolls back on top to get to a honey hole position, which is beautiful. That was very nice. Again, and then he pulls the leg and the heel into the armpit. So this is like a very good, really cool entry. This is why I like watching Gary and even Gilbert too. Gilbert had a really good back take there. That was really, really nice. You just don't see these type of transitions very often, but very, very good. Strong heel hook position. I was going to say, if he doesn't tap to that was a very strong heel hook position. That when Gary got on top with that honey hole position, he was really deep. His knee line, Gilbert's knee line was really far in there, and if he needed to address it immediately. So that was a belly down heel hook. That was an excellent, excellent match between two very, very, very good guys. Lots of respect. Very well done. Let's watch that entry again. This is not the entry. Again, this position that Gary's playing is really good. That was excellent. Just kind of Gilbert kind of just cartwheeled out of that there. Cartwheel out of the Uchimata. There's a shooting into the double there. That was beautiful. Getting into another leg entanglement. That was close on that one, but he was able to kick his foot free. He went for his own toe hold here. Gary was able to straighten the leg here, stand back up, and right here, this you can see, I mean, look at the hips here. He's so far up on top of it. I mean, the knee is over down here. He's got so much knee line and leg here that it's no good. And as soon as he scooped that leg right there, that's that leg scoop. You can't just pull your leg out here. Gary's too deep on the position. So that was a really good sequence. If we could, it's almost worth looking at again. If we can find it. Right here, I think this is it. So he dives under. So we get to the whizzer, shoots a leg in. He dives under to get to the honey hole position. We typically go to this position for like a honey hole reset position. And then he gets a honey hole and he's spun up over on top because Gilbert kind of sprawled out there. Now he's deep on the leg. He's got the figure 4 bite, scoops the leg, and catches the heel belly down. So a very good match. Both these guys really, really good. Really enjoyed this one. This was a great breakdown. You can learn a lot from watching matches like this. I still learn a lot from watching, matches like this one. So, but yeah, both these guys are really good. Always impressed by both of them, and hope to see them have another match at some point. So yeah, that'll be it for this one, and I'll keep doing some more of these Polaris matches that have been recently coming out. So, all right, that's it. Thank you.